Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiffany Benson, one part of Team Benson, and we lost another battle, but it's okay. So guys, I am posting 2 videos today because I forgot to upload the other one yesterday. So for those of you guys that got a notification at like 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm very sorry. That is, I wanted to get both videos out because I wanted you guys to have the updates. But so this is actually Thursday morning and I had some casualties, so there's that. But I didn't do all of the steps that she told me to do in her post. So I put out the forks, but I didn't put out staples because I didn't have any staples. And then I forgot to put the sticky traps out in front of the forks. So I had some casualties. So I'm gonna show you guys what the casualties were. And then also, I gave myself advice yesterday that I did not take. And we're gonna talk about that afterwards. So as you can see, one, there was nothing to eat there, so they left that one alone. They got this one right here, and I have a lot of forks on this one. This one, they completely ate. And this one, they ate the bottom out of. Lovely. Now they like to dig in my eggplant bed. I didn't have any rats over there. Also, they did not bother the squash plants. Those ones I left as sacrifices. They didn't bother that. Nothing was caught on there. And they didn't dig up any area over here. So as you can see, the one place I 100% knew I should have put sticky traps, I walked inside after putting the sticky traps out there. My phone rang and I started working and then started cooking dinner, and then I went to bed and then I forgot. So that is what happened. Now the advice I gave myself yesterday that I am going to 100% take today is a nice clean garden is a happy garden. And that's what I'm going to do today. My garden is fully messed up because I have a lot of things going. I have some things that are dying, some things that are alive. I have things that I was starting. I was planting some plants. I have soil kind of everywhere. I have buckets of old soil that I need to go through and get worms out of. And I need to do a lot in my garden. My garden needs attention. And since I have not been taking that attention, I see that there are pests. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish cleaning up my garden today, and then I am going to make sure I put the sticky traps in front of the forks. I'm going to leave the forks, put the sticky traps out there, and I'm just going to start some seeds. I'm going to start more seeds, and I'm going to keep seeds going until I get the results that I want. And I'm also not going to put out any of the starts that I got, and I'm going to continue to get those healthy, because that watermelon was unhealthy when I put it out there. And what happens? It gets eaten. So we are going to do that today. Alright guys, so let's start with those starts that I got from Home Depot that I said were not in great condition, but I bought them anyway because I got a discount. Now, I gave them some food, and as you can see, they are perking up a lot nicer. Like, these are actually starting to look like they could be healthy. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to pick the healthiest looking start on here, especially for these big ones. Now, this one is a butternut squash. I have never eaten a butternut squash, but everybody in Arizona grows them because they grow really well throughout our summer. So since my loofah did not pop up and I'm still waiting for my loofah to grow inside, I'm going to put a butternut squash where I was going to put the loofah, and I'll put the loofah in a different section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to look at the overall health of the plant. So I'm going to look for any bugs first and foremost, which I do not see any right now. And I'm going to look at which one is the healthiest one, which is this one in my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clip this one. Now I had left 2 because there was originally 3 in this pot, and I left 2 so that then I could pick out the healthiest one. The one that was sucking the life out of everything, I took that one off first so that it wouldn't increase any type of bug activity or anything like that. And now, since I'm going to leave this in for maybe like another day or 2 because I really want to get these sticky traps out and get the garden cleaned up, and catch any rats that are already just coming back here, then I'm going to leave these in the pots for a little bit longer. Now, when it comes to kind of getting your garden kind of reset, what you want to do is really focus on, okay, what needs to come out? So what can you prune back, or what do you completely need to take out? And then also kind of like resetting the area. So I'm going to be putting a lot of sticky traps down just because the rats are used to coming back here. But I'm also going to cover that soil where I had like things coming out, so that then the worms and the other decomposing animals or insects can go down there and really decompose them. So it is really just going to be about getting things healthy. Now, for this cantaloupe, I think I'm going to give this cantaloupe one more day. And I'm actually think I'm going to plant this cantaloupe together and leave them together and see what happens. Because cantaloupe kind of really vines out. And my midget cantaloupe, now I haven't grown a full-size cantaloupe before, so I can't say 100%. But my midget cantaloupe, I always plant two, and they're pretty much about that far apart. So I'm going to leave that. Now, my Armenian sent out its first little tendrils, so that is nice that it's looking like it can have life again. And then also, that's an Armenian. Now this one is the pepper plant. I'm gonna really go ahead and clean up all of these bottom leaves, because one, look at how beautiful that variegation is. But two, these bottom leaves can harbor a lot of diseases, and it's been really windy out here, so I want to make sure that the plant has some airflow. So if you guys are having some craziness go on in your gardens, just really don't get discouraged. I want to really encourage people not to overreact. And when I say overreact, I mean like, okay, so this didn't work, so now you're on to the next thing, and you're on to the next thing, and you're on to the next thing, and then your interventions in your garden get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, to where then you're like in the pesticide aisle, like, maybe I should just buy it and just put it all over everything. They say it's not that bad, and it is that bad. I want to encourage you guys to grow organic gardens, and part of growing an organic garden is having organic issues like pest, but they can easily be solved if you're just working with your environment. So if you're taking your environment, just accepting for what it is, and work with it. And that's what I want to encourage you guys to do. So the best thing you can do is just keep your garden healthy and happy, and it will be good to you. So we're going to continue just to go ahead and get this pruned up. I think it's about nice. This is going with the jalapenos, so I want to make sure that it's really healthy, because my jalapenos are super healthy right now and producing a lot of jalapenos. So that's what it looks like. Also, when you're in these little pots, I have it in like a little tray here. If you're in Arizona, we are still in the season where the water is starting to try to absorb into the dirt. So make sure you're not overwatering so you don't get gnats, because nobody likes gnats. So first, guys, look at that. I have a nice cucumber there, and I have a nice cucumber there. Those are going to be coming out probably later on today. Now, for the cleanup, I'm going to come in and I'm going to sweep everything. I have all of my pots out where there was dead flowers and dead things that I'm going to come in and clean up, take out all the dead things, and plant some black-eyed peas in all of my long pots like this. Now for the garden beds, this one I cleaned up yesterday, so I'm just going to put down sticky traps in this one tonight. And for my jalapeno, it is getting dug up right here, so I am going to put a sticky trap right there and just make sure that that one stays healthy. As you can see, the leaves on these are so nice. They're so healthy. Nothing's really going on with that one. It's just that probably the rats are passing through and decide to dig it up. Now, when it's coming out here, well, first let's go here. My 100 sweets, I am going to take this plant. I'm going to take this plant because, well, probably in like another day or two, I'm going to take the plant. Now, what I'm doing that for is because it has stopped really producing a lot of tomatoes. So the ones that are on here, I'm just going to let those ripen up because I do have an acorn squash that I'm going to stick here versus sticking out in the other garden, but I need to start it. So I'm going to go ahead, start that, and then take that one up. But there are tons of worms down in here that I want to eat the roots of this tomato plant, because this little pot can only take so much, and that tomato plant probably produced a lot of roots down there that need to get decomposed. Now for here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this bean plant. This one is the Kentucky Wonders, but as you can see already down here, I have the Chinese red long noodle beans there to take their place. But I want to keep them healthy, so I want to make sure that anything that's unhealthy, like these crispy little bug-ridden leaves, are off of here. Now yeah, it is growing some leaves, and that does give you hope, like, oh, it's gonna be fine, but then you look at it and you're like, nope, it's completely dead, and it does need to come off. So I think that that's a lot where a lot of gardeners go wrong, because they see like some new growth and they think like, okay, I'm just going to blast it with everything and get that plant to grow back. But you have to try to decide, one, is the plant healthy enough to grow back and produce you fruits and vegetables in a timely manner, like before the weather kicks in. Like, we're getting ready to hit 100 degrees every single day starting today, at least until the middle of next month. So is it worth me blasting that plant with a bunch of different organic pesticides or neem oils or different things like that, or should I just pull it up and let the Chinese red long noodle beans take their place? Because those are going to be fine during that time. And that's where you really have to start kind of processing and thinking about, because each intervention that you do to your garden is going to have a snowball effect where it's going to affect something else. So sometimes if I blast that with something that's going to kill all the spider mites that are on it, it might kill the spider mites that are on it, but it might create a problem for something else that's in the bed, because it might have taken a good beneficial bug off of a plant that is being protected. So those are different things you have to think about. Now my midget cantaloupe, doing amazing, but as you can see, missing leaves here, missing leaves there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to prune off all of these ones that are missing, and I'm going to continue to train it up. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prune the bottom of these. So all of these bottom leaves are getting the big axe, so that then no disease are settling in on these leaves. Because when it comes to leaves like squash leaves, melon leaves, and cucumber leaves, you can get powdery mildew, and it's because the spores will kind of bounce up on there, and while there's no airflow, it'll let that powdery mildew kind of set in. So to avoid that and make sure we don't get it, since we don't have it right now, we're going to go ahead and plan ahead and prune that. Now these I'm going to leave for a day, because I do want to try and encourage the rats to come here so that I can capture them. So I'm going to put these forks a little bit closer, put in some sticky traps to see if maybe I can encourage the rats to come here, so that then I can, you know, send them to their demise. Now my big tomato plant, I was so happy and waiting for that one to ripen, and it got 8. So what I'm going to do is all of the bigger tomatoes, I'm going to pull, all the big green tomatoes. Now when it comes to bigger pests, sometimes it's all about just removing the food source. So I can eat fried green tomatoes, they're actually pretty delicious, so why not just go ahead and pick them now, instead of battling the pest or the birds or the rats every single day, fighting them to see if maybe they took my partly red tomato or not. I can just pull them, make fried green tomatoes. So guys, I moved back over here. I don't know if you can hear this, but there is a bird that is absolutely going off on another bird. It's like non-stop chirping. It's like, take a breath, breathe, then go back at it. But it is just, it's like a run-on sentence with no periods. But anyways, the last thing I am going to do for my garden is I finally found some garden tone. Now, I don't know if this has been something that you guys have been able to find in the stores, but berry tone, garden tone, any of the tones, I have not been able to find. And I finally just ordered it on Amazon, and it came, and This is a slow release fertilizer. Now, something that I always amend my beds with is a slow release fertilizer during the summertime. So since I'm planning to grow all year long and really trying to keep my garden full, I'm not going to have a lot of time to completely pull up everything out of the bed, pull all the wood chips up, and then sprinkle this down, add compost, and sorry, I had to pause it because there was a motorcycle. You can't have a motorcycle in the busy street and a bird argument going on at the same time. So since I didn't have time to completely pull up everything in my garden beds because I'm going to have a lot of stuff going in them, I'm just going to be amending them as I go. So pretty much as I did for the fall, except for the only difference, instead of just adding bone meal, I'm also going to add some garden tone. Now the garden tone is a 344, so it's higher in phosphorus and potassium and lower in nitrogen. So if I look at my fish fertilizer, that one is a 511, which is higher in nitrogen, which helps the leaves to grow. So when it comes to like my fall garden and my winter garden, which I'm growing things for the leaves, like I'm growing my brassicas, my collards, all those different things like that, I want to have something that's high in nitrogen. But when it comes to my fruiting vegetables, I want to have something that's lower in nitrogen and a little bit more slow release, and that I can kind of broadly put everywhere. Because when it comes time to them fruiting, now this is just a total personal opinion, some people might tell you otherwise, but I don't want to have high nitrogen when they're fruiting. So my squash is usually kind of like my, okay, now I need to back up off the nitrogen a little bit when I get, sorry, now I'm getting attacked by bugs, when I start getting my first fruiting like squash and cucumbers. So I've already picked my first cucumber and now I have more coming on, and I have my first squash coming on. So instead of blasting it with more fish fertilizer, which is high in nitrogen, I want to put something slower release, so that instead of it growing a bunch of big beautiful leaves, it can now focus on growing me fruit. So I hope that that gives you guys some ideas on what you can be doing with your garden, and I hope you're not getting frustrated at your gardening and you're just planting with the season and going along with the season, because that is the big thing. Now, I'm not going to do an update tomorrow because I do want to do a Medicinal Friday. I've been finding those really important because they've been helping a lot of people, so I want to keep those going. So every Friday, that's what I'm going to do. And then on Saturday, I will bring you guys back in my garden. I'll show my harvest video, and I will show you a overall of just kind of what I did for the garden, so then that way you guys can see. And then Sunday we'll have an actual tour, so you can have like an in-depth version of that. So until next time, grow yourselves a garden, because even a small space can provide you with tons of food. Bye guys.